Okay, so let's say you own one of these Chevy Equinox from, the mid 2000s there. Any that have the same body style as like the 2005, you're gonna find that the windows may stop working. I've got a super simple, super quick, free, easy way to check and see if the same problem that I have is your same problem as well. I took all of this apart, then went down to testing stuff and figured out that I had no signal coming to the window switch. That created all sorts of problems, and this should have been something that I checked originally.
So what's up, YouTube? This is Clay with Clay's AC and Auto Repair here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And if this video is helpful, please consider subscribing, clicking the notification, sharing my videos, give me them sweet old thumbs up. You can put some comments down below, but if you want to reach me easier, give me a shout out on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on Facebook Messenger. And remember, if anyone else can do it, I promise you, you can do it too.
Okay, so if we open up our door, and on just about any door, you're gonna see a rubber accordion down here. This is where the wires travel from the inside of the vehicle to the inside of your door, and over time, the doors open and close. And eventually they break these wires off. Now on the Chevy Equinox, in this situation, if we just pull this rubber back, and we look down inside here, oh, well, there's a problem. Since that wire is white, I would have to suspect that that broken wire right there is an issue. We find, if we look down there, we have more broken wires that are gonna have to be repaired, and that happens over the course of time. Now, in my situation, I'm gonna take the whole wiring harness out because I got the door off, and put it out here so I can repair it properly. Most of the time, and you can see by looking at some of my past videos, that we repair these wires in here and we can just butt connect them and shrink wrap them, and they'll last for another 5 to 7 years before they break again if you do a good enough job. So you don't have to go to all of that extreme. But in my situation, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a screwdriver, and that's gonna pull this electrical connector out here. You can stick it up there and work it back and forth, and you'll kind of feel the clips come out a little bit. And this is just in case you guys want to take your door panel off. Obviously I've got mine off and I'm not going to show you that. But then we take this green piece right here and we pull up on it, and it's like a cam lock, and then that will allow us to push the tab to release the connector. The idea is you're supposed to be able to push in on this and then pull that up, but every time I've done one of these, I've had to pry up a little bit. Now, grabbing both sides of the electrical connector, you're gonna pull it apart. Once it's disconnected, we can shove this back through the door if you're taking the panel off like me. By simply reaching up inside there, we should be able to pull the connector out like this. Now we can move the rubber backwards down the wiring harness and expose our wires. Now, this wiring harness is clipped back here, right here underneath the speaker. So we can go ahead and hopefully just pull the pushy out, which should be right about here. Now with that rubber pushed away from there, we can slide this down the wiring harness and expose our wires really well for repair. Obviously pushing this one up underneath here, but I think somebody added this afterwards, so we're gonna have to run that through that wiring loom. So you'll tell I used shrink wrap. I used a butt connector there. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. You could solder it together. You can use these shrink wrap butt connectors. You can use a cheapo butt connector like I did and some shrink wrap. Now you'll notice that my shrink wrap is up my wire quite a bit. The reason for that is it's going to give it an extra little bit of rigidity. This has already been replaced once and broken, and I feel like they did a pretty good job repairing it. But unfortunately, it didn't last. This will probably last another couple of years. We'll go ahead and fix up these wires and we should be good to go. Obviously, you could plug in your motor right now and make sure everything's working before you button it up completely. But I'm certain in this situation, this problem will be taken care of. Now you can use like liquid electrical tape, or you can cut them and shrink wrap them together, resolder them. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. I think that kind of stuff is fairly self-explanatory. So more than likely, the reason that this wire broke again was because they didn't seal this off, so these wires were able to sit there and move on the inside of this harness every time the door would open and close. In this situation, we're obviously going to tape it down as far as we can down here to allow for as little movement as possible, or at least as multiple wire movement as possible. So when you're using electrical tape, and a lot of people that use electrical tape, it's the silliest thing in the world, you would think, but I didn't even know. When you go to, at one time anyways, I didn't know at one time, when you go to apply electrical tape, as you're applying it, you want to stretch it. And if you've ever tried to tear off electrical tape, you know it shrinks down as you pull it tighter. So as you're wrapping this electrical tape around, I really need two hands to do it, pull it and stretch it around there. That way, the elasticity will drag it back and grab onto them wires, and that's why that looks so tight, because as I put it on, I stretched it on. Now that we've got that reassembled, we want to make sure that we didn't run our wires incorrectly, so we're going to go ahead and lower our window all the way down, make sure it goes all the way down, make sure it operates all the way up. Now, hopefully that was the problem for you folks and you were able to get it rectified. I didn't put in the video how to remove the door panel because there's tons of video on that and I already had the door panel off. But remember, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Don't be the next to them, be the first to you. God bless and have the best of days.